Hello there, folks, friends, listener, or viewers. Welcome to NewGen101, the podcast where top architects from across the globe, especially Asia, share invaluable insights to inspire and guide the next generation of architects. We produced this interview for the Introduction to Architecture course in the Architecture major at BINUS University, under the guidance of our lecturer, Architect Primavera Desta. So, before we get into the core, let us introduce ourselves as architecture students from BINUS University. Starting from me, I'm Glenn Caleb Gunawan.
I'm Karina Maharani.
I'm Anissa Shimizu.
So, in this episode, we would be discussing more about architect career prospects from the perspective of an experienced architect. Here with us as our speaker, architect Umer Sajjad is known as one of the most competent practicing architect out there. His wide range of expertise include architecture, hospitality design, civic and commercial design, public installation, research, and sustainable design. Based in Islamabad, Pakistan, his architecture design studio since 2015, which specializing in architecture planning, concepts, and interior design, is founded along with his partner, Hasnain Salahuddin. Therefore, their firm name is Umer and Hasnain Architects. So, hello, Mr. Umer.
Hello, how are you?
We're very good.
We're very good.
Yeah. We're very grateful for the space and time that you have given us to discuss further and in depth about architecture. Okay, so should we say good afternoon or good morning?
It is afternoon here, so it's good afternoon.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're in Pakistan, right? Now?
Yeah.
Okay. How's life been in Pakistan?
2 hours behind you.
Oh, 2 hours behind us. So yeah, how's life been in Pakistan?
Yeah, it's really good. It's amazing. The weather is amazing. It's cold here now.
So sir, as I have told the listeners about your firm, Umer and Hassan Architects, may I ask you to tell us a glimpse, or at least as much as you want, of your experience in reaching and creating your own firm, starting from the beginning.
Yeah. So the time I graduated from one of the arts college in Pakistan, I have started doing a job in a firm here, like a very good firm in Islamabad. Islamabad is the capital of Pakistan. So I have started work here in a firm. I didn't do any own work on my own because I couldn't do that. Initially, it's very interesting that I didn't want to do architecture at all. I wanted to do theater, and I was doing performing arts basically. So I just got into an architecture job just to save up some money to do theater.
Alright.
So this is how I started because it was very boring. To me, it was really boring when I started the job, like doing all the work, drawings, and these things. So theater was really amazing. Architecture was boring. So I was just passing my time and just gaining experience, and didn't have any mind of doing my own firm or my own business. But eventually, when I did job for 5 years, I got to do the basics of architecture. Then from very small designing to bigger designs, and then executions on site, and then I traveled a lot outside of Pakistan. So there I met amazing architects, saw amazing work. So this is how the paradigm shifted in my mind from theater, from that stage to the other stage of architecture. So that's how I started my own work. I was doing a job, but I was doing moonlighting as well. In the daytime, I do my job. In the evening, I came to my house. I do small things. Started from designing a coffee shop here. And then this is how, when I got the first check, that was something I thought that, oh, this is a good thing to earn money now. So that's how I started my own work. And then after doing moonlighting for 3 more years, then I have started my own practice with one of my friends. He's my batchmate from the college. And we have started our own work then.
All right. So you have described that you were interested in like theater before. So is that explaining why in your like Instagram profile that you're an illustrator, architect, and a mime?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, you
you've
said
seen
it.
my Instagram profile as well. Explain about the performing arts first. So, mime is not like a very common thing in this part of the world. Like mime is very European thing, or it's not that in South Asia. It's not that common. So I did mime, and I started as a small performer. Then I promoted to being a director of the whole college, and then I won a lot of competitions. I used to do mime as a professional theater. I had like 50, 60 people under my direction. I used to script write. I used to do the production. I used to do all these things for the theater. and I used to write the whole narrative as well. So this is how my mind started working on that. So mime is what everything, even right now when I do and when I explain people about my projects, I actually do mime to explain them. And that's very easy for me to explain the spaces.
So you have like practicing like your explanation skill and also like uh, creating
That helped
scripts.
me a lot.
Okay. So what makes you like decided to pursue research and analysis in architecture?
Yeah, so now since we are doing a lot of other projects like build projects, starting from very small public installations to bigger commercial projects and resorts, there is a lack of lack of interest with a lot of architects to do research because this takes a lot of time and it's not like monetary, it's not like very practical to get money from research and all. So most of the people don't go in that, but this is what I wanted to do along with the build structures and all, to research with more materials or research with more options to foresee the future as well. So if we are sitting right now in 2023, we should be opting for 2053 or 2063 to see what's coming now. So the research is a really nice tool to evolve that thing, and this is what I wanted to do. And with my research, we have done the research in materials, the research in spaces, and the research in reclaimed materials. So this is how this process started.
Have you experienced like your long time in architecture career? Have you ever like experienced like challenges that ultimately changed your outlook on life while you were in the process of becoming an architecture researcher, and how you deal with it?
So the very challenging thing with for me is to design a simple thing, because whenever you start designing, you try to do something out of the box, and then you go away from designing a simpler thing to a very complex thing. For me, the biggest challenge is to design a simple thing. To make a thing minimal is very difficult. So every time our result is not what we want to do in the first place, because the design evolved, and for me the challenge is to to short it down to the simpler version of it. So that's like a biggest challenge. And the other thing is like it should be really attached to the emotion of the user as well. So that is also a biggest challenge to achieve, because sometimes you design a very good thing, but it's like it's away from the basic function of emotionality. So that's a bigger thing for me.
So we have to know like what the client wants for the room to be, and also like, have you any tips or trick on how to maximize like small spaces?
So this is what I'll go to my previous statement as well, that to design a small space, you need to keep it simple. The first thing. And the other thing is to develop the material palette for it. If you're talking about a physical space in a practical realm, so you have to do it very simply and design a very simple mood board and material palette as well. With a very basic function, you can develop that space very easily.
Okay, all right. Okay, so all of the projects that you have done, either it's like a small scale or like a large scale, is there any one project that has really made an impression in your memory that will never be forgotten?
Yeah. So there are a lot of projects that are really close to myself and my heart. But one of the project that was a challenge, that was a challenging and very emotional for me, was we were designing an orphanage here in Pakistan. So that orphanage was a very emotional project for us. So we put a lot of effort in that. Unfortunately, it didn't get built. We were designing it in a very mountainous area in an earthquake pro zone. So it didn't get in execution, but the design was really close to us. That was emotionally a big thing for us. So that's one project I'll always think about it, because I cried in that project when designing. Yeah.
So, what was the year when you designed like the orphanage?
It was the year of COVID, or 2019.
Oh, yeah.
2019 to 2020.
Yeah, okay. Around the time. All right. Have you ever doubted your choice when you were still, like us, a student of architecture, like before becoming an expert in that field?
Yeah, once I doubted it when I was doing an internship in my second last year of college. So when I started a student internship in an architecture office, I went to the office from 9 to 6, and it was so boring that I doubted myself a lot. That this is what I am going to do now. This is so boring. But the other thing that kept me going was theater, basically. So the theater was highly in my mind, that kept me going in architecture, and in my subconscious, I didn't know, but it helped me pursue a very good architecture journey in my school as well.
Right. So theater is like one of the most like important part in your life. Is that right?
Yeah. I didn't know that because I got into my school for doing architecture, not doing theater. But by the time I got into theater more and less architecture.
Well, probably the following question is a little subjective, but how do you determine the success of an architectural project that you have worked on? Like, which ones work for everyone and which ones don't and get stuck?
So the basic principles of design should be monitored in the first place. The very basic principles of design, you must have read that a number of times. The balance, harmony, rhythm, and all these like very basic principles. So this will come. The other thing is the functionality, the basic program of the project you are given, and the most important thing is that the emotional functionality of the building is very important. Like if you are getting into the building, it will resonate with yourself. Like the very basic of a building is like deriving along with your character. So that is very important for any project.
Like the most important part is like the basic elements, right? And then we get into the emotional subjects, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Well, I think my friend Karina also wants to have a chat with you, right?
Okay, so sir, is it true that you were born and grew up in Pakistan?
Yeah.
Okay, for you, does being in Pakistan have any impact on the way you design? For example, the culture, way of architecture, or maybe different lifestyle?
Yeah. So I grew up in a mountainous area of Pakistan. I'm from the northern part of Pakistan. It's like a mountainous area. So I grew up in that part with mountains and valleys around and rivers. So it really helped me grew an instinct of architecture through the valleys and through all these mountains and these landscapes. So the culture is very different from the urban areas to those suburban areas I born and I grew up. Uh, the culture really affects you. The culture, the type of architecture really affects you. And when you are studying a lot of like Western influenced architecture, mostly in your books, so there's a bit of bridge between both of these very Eastern influence and very Western influence at the same time. So local culture uh, has a lot of impact on that, and this is how a better design will be executed. The local culture has a really a big impact on designing any project. So the Western and Eastern influence at the same time, they develop the architecture in your mind all the time.
For you, what is like the most influential Pakistani architecture symbolist?
If we talk about an architect, so I really like work of Kamil Khan Mumtaz. He's an old architect in Pakistan. He works in a local brick and with all these local materials. He doesn't use any steel in his projects, and you guys should be looking up on his work. It's Kamil Khan Mumtaz. So I really like his work. If you talk about the cultural and the local work of architecture, and there are other modernists at the same time in Pakistan. We look on.
Okay, we also heard that you are an interior designer. So, what is the most important factor for you when designing a room, and how can you design small spaces?
Yeah, so as I've already explained, that basic principle of design should be followed. The balance, rhythm, harmony, these things, the very basic things of that. And then by setting the tone first, the mood of the interior. So that's like a very basic thing. You need to make a very simpler tone in that. So the Japanese style or the Scandinavian, or we call it Japanese style nowadays. So I usually follow that in my interior design.
As an interior designer, of course, you have to consult your client first. What if your views or vision don't match your client's expectation at all?
So what we do is that we filter our client first, that we select our clients, and we'll see that this sort of client will come to us. So the people usually come to us, they already know that we design in this ways. Still, if there's some, contradiction between my ideas and the client's thoughts, we'll still try to convince them that since we are professionals, so we have to convince them that this is the better thing for you. But our design will speak itself to convince the client.
Okay. Next question. One of your expertise is in the field of sustainable design, which coincides with one of our courses here, sustainable architecture. So we want to know more about it. For you, what are the right steps to reduce heat, both within buildings and its effects on the environment as a whole?
So first step for design a sustainable architectural design building is to use the local materials in the first place, because that's how you will decrease the carbon footprint. So, and this is not what just the only thing that you only use a local material to design a sustainable building. Other is we always talk about the passive sustainable approaches in our design, but active sustainable approaches are also really nice to use in your projects. Like technology, you should be incorporating technology. Even we talk about expensive things and that's not sustainable. No, it doesn't go like that. You can use very big technological equipment or technological advancement in your architecture to build an active sustainable design at the same time. So active and passive design can go along better than just being an passive sustainable design approach.
So we also want to know, there's so many architects that has their own style, like such as Zaha did with her curvy and deconstructive style. So do you have any special style in designing a building? If it's so, what is your special style and why do you choose that style?
Yeah, I have seen people with a very static design style, and you can recognize the architect by his building just because of the style. I don't believe in that. I want to have my design in an organic way that it can be grow over time. So if I stuck myself in a style, I think that'll be a full stop to my design. So and as I've traveled in different countries, I've seen that the best architects have different styles. So I'm not confining myself in a style right now.
So you don't have any like specific. We know that there are many like architecture era and styles of buildings. Like which ones do you like prefer in using more in your projects?
Minimal contemporary architecture. Yeah.
What is the biggest challenge of a project, whether it is small scale or large scale, in your experience?
So sense of ownership is a really big challenge when you execute a project, and to execute it as per you have imagined in the first place. So as I said earlier, that to making it simpler is a big challenge, and to execute it as you have thought that it will be having an emotionally attachment to the stakeholder. So functionality and emotional character of the building is very important. So this is the biggest challenge somehow we face when we can't have the results we have thought in the first place.
I also want to ask you, what do you think is the most effective way to work as an architect? Do you prefer working alone or with other people?
Yeah, so but teamwork is the best way to work on your project. And since nowadays it's like very like we are more flexible to it, so collaboration is very important. So we collaborate with other architects, other artists in the field, and other professionals, so we can have more options. So can't work alone at all. We have team, we have people in our teams for the MEP consultants or the design people or researchers and artists. So teamwork and collaboration is very important.
So I'd like to continue to ask you, as a co-founder of your own architecture firm, Umer and Hasnain Architects, how many subordinates do you have in your team, and what is the process of selecting competent subordinates, and how can you know them personally? So in your work.
Yeah, so we have subordinates in our team, but we're not working like that. We are working as a team now. So we are three partners now. So me and Hasnain are two partners, and with us we have another colleague as well, who has done her master's right now. So she's working with us as well. So we have the other team, the technical team, who produce drawings and MEP drawings with electrical and mechanical engineers and structural engineers at the same time. And we have internees that come, the student internees I'm talking about, that usually come during the summer or winter break from their schools. So this is how we usually work, but mostly we work in collaboration with a lot of artists.
So you have partners with students also?
No, not with students because they are still studying. So whenever they'll graduate, they can be our partners.
So as a professional architect, do you have any advice to us students that are still studying architecture? Do you have like any tips for us?
Yeah. So the first step is to take less stress. The stress is not good at all. So if you if you don't have any work, like for in case it's your jury tomorrow and you don't have any work, don't stress, improvise. So this is how we used to do in theater. Yeah. So theater helped me in gaining that experience. When I forgot my line or my script, or one of my team member forgot the script on stage, so they have to improvise. The actors do this. They go improvise on theater stage right in front of a lot of audience. This is how architecture should be. If you don't have anything, just present yourself. Just be vocal with your communication skill. That is very important. Make a lot of social contacts. Your network should be very strong, and you should be very vocal about communicating your knowledge. Because you have seen a lot of good architects, they can't speak in public, they can't present their work. So that's how their work can't be seen all around. So this is how, and you should be forecasting the future. You should be working like what will happen after 20 years. So this is how you can be different from other students or other architects, because everyone will be being very typical about it.
Okay, so what do you mean by improvising when we're in our stress mode?
Just make a story. A story is very important. Make a story in your mind about a project. A very creative way of narrating the story to the juror or to the teacher or to the client. So this is how you have to you always have to sell your project. And the best way to sell your project is how you explain it. So if you don't have anything, just grab a pen in your hand and just present it like that.
Okay, so at the end of the day, what are your hopes for architecture in the future, as well as the future generation of architects?
Every rising sun is bringing a lot of opportunities. So the future architects have a lot of opportunities right now. I think that'll be very interesting part of architecture phase in the world, because there's a lot of new things coming, a lot of experiments you can do, a lot of stuff in your hand you can experiment with. So there's a bright future I am seeing right now. So, and just go differently in your approach. Just don't be scared of using new mediums or new materials or new ways of exploring architecture, and travel a lot and read books. If you don't want to read books, just see photographs in the books.
So try new ideas.
Yeah.
Where do you usually like travel to get like new ideas?
So one of my travelings is in the Arcasia, the Architects Council of Asia. So I am a member of the Young Architects from Pakistan. So I have to travel to all these Arcasia conferences in Asia. Like we just visited Philippines. I was in Bangladesh. I was in Tokyo. I was in Nepal. So all this thing helps you creating a good network, meeting people, like the way I met Desta in one of the conferences. So we are friends now. And this is how I explored how the Indonesian people are designing. She got to know how we in Pakistan do our projects. So this is how you get more exposures. And sometimes it's if it's about the vacations, you can go to. There are a lot of places I travel within the countries, outside of country, and even watching videos. I illustrate a lot as well. That helps me too, because I illustrate like imaginary buildings, imaginary cityscapes, and this is how I keep my mind going.
All right. Okay, so it's nice to have an afternoon talk with you, Mr. Umer. Such an honor for us to interview an insightful architect with like a wide range of expertise and mindset like you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you
Visit
so much.
Pakistan soon.
Yeah, we're going to Pakistan soon. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.